lovely world. So I was discussing some things with some parents, not some parents, some older generation old people, I don't humans that live on this planet that think having sex and blowjobs and eating girl out or things like that with consent, of course, that it's taboo and that we shouldn't talk about it. But everyone's done it unless you're a virgin like myself, and I've never done it. I still masturbate. Look, everyone masturbates. Not everyone's masturbated. I shouldn't say that. But a lot of humans on this planet have masturbated, and a lot of humans have had sex. I don't know why it's so inappropriate to discuss. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. We've lived in a world where, sure, you can use protection and you can have all the precautions that you can use, like when women get, IUDs and, birth control and all this stuff. That's great. Let them do that. And figure out how that all works and stuff. I'm not saying you shouldn't, be protective when you're having sex and stuff like that. Be as protective as you can. Unless you want to start a family. Then that's a whole different story. Look, do what you want to do. And make sure you have consent from the woman or the guy or whatever the scenario is these days. Sex is a perfectly normal, okay thing to do. Masturbating is a perfectly normal, okay thing to do. I don't know why I don't understand why some people, some human beings are still concerned about, that whole situation. Everyone in the planet, everyone in the world has discussed it or has done it. Whether it's masturbating, whether it's eating her out, whether it's, playing with toys, whether it's, getting a blowjob or a hand job or any of that stuff. Everyone has, in some way or another, has done all of that stuff. And it's some human beings are not okay with it still. Even in their older age. I'm not saying it's, anyone my age or in their 20s or in their 40s or 50s. It's the ones that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And don't get me wrong, there are still humans who have sex in their 80s and 90s. And that's fine. Let them do them. Just be who you want to be. But ask permission first. Because if you don't ask permission, that's not considered consent. The most important thing you can do is get consent from your partner or someone you're dating, even though it may not be considered a partner. Just ask permission first, because if they're not comfortable with, doing it, then just don't do it. It's that plain and simple. I could go on the record here and say that, just because I masturbate doesn't mean that I don't want to have sex someday. But with a consenting adult that says, okay, we can do this and whatnot and stuff like that. It's just interesting how some of the older generation doesn't quite understand what the younger generation's doing these days. And I can understand that, even though I'm not the older generation. Sure, I'm in my 30s, and there are people who are younger than me, and there are humans that are older than me. And that's perfectly okay. Look, I don't know if I'm ever going to have sex. Let's just be real. I don't know if I'm ever going to eat a girl out with her consent, or a woman without her consent, or anything like that. I don't know if I'm ready for that. At least not right now. Maybe, 5-10 years down the road I'll be ready. But right now I'm just not ready for that. I mean, let's be real. First I have to get a girlfriend before that can even happen. And, not everything is going to work out the way that it should or anything like that. And that's perfectly okay. I'm doing my own thing and let her, wherever she is in the world, do her thing until she's ready. I don't know if I'm going to ever date anyone or have a relationship with anyone or with any woman, but I'm hoping I can. I mean, there's so many candidates out there for me that are waiting to meet a guy like me and want to be part of my world and I be part of her world and see how we coexist. I don't know when that'll happen. It could be a year from now, it could be a month from now, it could be 5 years from now, it could be 10 years from now. Who knows what the when that situation's gonna arise. I sure as heck don't know. And she may know right now, but I don't. It just baffles me sometimes when I'm having conversations with, someone who's, 17, 20, 30 years older than me, maybe even 40 years older than me, how they don't understand the whole concept of masturbating and asking for consent. And, I mean, no, everyone knows what consent is, unless they don't, which that's just wrong, and no one should do anything without consent, first and foremost. But masturbating is a natural thing. Eating someone out is a natural thing. Having sex is a natural thing. Kissing is a natural thing. I mean, all of these things are natural with consent. And some things may not sit well with older humans than me. And I completely get that. Even though I'm not, like I said, I'm not an older human. I am in my 30s, and most humans are, younger than me. There are some that are older than me, but there are quite a bit that are younger than me. Whether you're 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 25 to 20, 19, 18, whatever age you are, 17, 16, I guarantee you, I wouldn't say, anyone under the age of 17 under the age of 13 has ever thought about sex or masturbate or anything like that. And they shouldn't, because that's way too young to even think about that stuff. I'd wait until you're like 16, 17, 18 to start thinking about that stuff. Not when you're 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 even. Just don't do anything too rash, or do it with consent. Look, I don't want you guys to misinterpret what I'm saying here. Don't have sex at all. And not ever, but until you're at least of age, which is, age is 18 to, let's say, 40 or 50 or 50 or 60. Whatever age you want to be. Just don't do it when you're underage, because without consent. Because you don't want to get in trouble with the law. I'm just trying to protect every single human being, even though I don't know every single person on this planet. Just be cautious of what you do when you're with a partner or with a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is at this point. Just be safe. Use protection until you're, in your mid-20s or even early 30s. Just be careful with who you date and who you want to be with, and make sure you both get tested for any STIs or anything that could have complications with having a child, like you had cancer and you can't have children because you're on chemo or things like that. I know a YouTuber who, I don't know him personally because I've never met him, but from what I've watched on his channel, he's had 2 brain surgeries because he had a tumor and cancer in his brain, and they didn't think he could ever have children. But with the miracle of science, he was able to have a child, and she's beautiful, but not in that weird way that you think. I respect him. I see him as a role model, as a brother. Even though, I've never met him, he got me into this vlogging game when I started this channel 8 years ago. He was one of the first YouTubers I ever watched on this channel. Him and Shakaro. And I'm talking about Charles Strippy. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to bring a life into this world. Now, I'm not saying I'm ever going to be able to have that opportunity, but if I were, I cherish every single moment with my daughter or my son, because that's just what I want to do. Someday, maybe I'll have a family, but right now I'm just focusing on myself and being who I want to be before I, start a relationship and do everything that, that's important to everyone else. So, I know I kind of rambled on for the first little bit of this about sex and blowjobs and masturbating and all of those things, and eating a woman out and using toys and stuff like that. But just be safe out there if you're having sex or you're doing any of those things I mentioned in the first portion of this video, because you don't want to get an STI. You don't want to have an unexpected pregnancy. You don't want to go to jail because you didn't get consent. The most important thing you should take away from this video is that always get consent, no matter what. If she says yes, that's great. If she says no, move on. Because she may not be comfortable with, all of the things I listed in this video. And that's what you guys should take away from today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have an amazing 2020. Self-isolation, social distancing is key right now. And if we can social distance ourselves for, 2 to 3 weeks, we may be able to have a working world that exists after, this virus decides to die down. It doesn't exist anymore because we found a cure and we are using it and it's being contributed to everyone. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you have an amazing 2020. Stay safe, wash your hands, use protection. Unless you want to start a family, then be careful with how you start that family. Anyways, have the best darn birthday you possibly can this year, whatever age you're celebrating, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand spanking new vlog. Bye-bye.